Right, hello everybody. Let's get the music started. I wanted to play this actually. What's going on? Oh no, don't tell me the widget disappeared. Alright, well, anyway. Richard, hello Richard. Let's sort some stuff out here quickly. Ta-da! And now we need to get the other thing back. Let's do the widget while we talk. Hello. Alright, who else is here? Anybody? Nobody? Okay. Oh, I can't hear the music today. Richard, you'll have to be my ears on that side then. Just let me know if the music's coming through loud and clear. And not too loud, not too soft. Psycat, hello, hello, welcome. Thanks for joining. Hopefully now that I've logged in, the widget will be back. So, let's see. Let's do a refresh. And there we go. It's coming back. Hold on. There we go. Jono, hello, hello, hello. Oh, you'll probably like the music today. We're going a bit old school today. Let's go back over there. There we go. So, how has everybody been? There were a couple of things I wanted to mention, but I'll wait until, well, one thing I wanted to mention, which I'll wait for some more people to hop on before we talk about that. There was actually an interesting comment I got yesterday or the day before, in relation to DuCont, well, specifically the DuCont hierarchies, and the person said that the DuCont hierarchies hierarchy is not proven like the other hierarchies, which I found really interesting. So I asked for proof of how, proof of these hierarchies, because I'm not really sure how you prove them, first of all. But secondly, I think people forget that, again, it's one of those terms used in modern demonology that kind of gets misplaced, because it's not really, when we talk about hierarchies, we often think about power hierarchies, and it's really not what that's about. DuCont, although he called them hierarchies, he kind of took the spirits and he placed them into what are also called families. So the love and lust demons are all together, and the death and dying demons are all together, etc., etc., etc. So it's nothing to do with hierarchies or power or anything like that. But yeah, just thought that was quite interesting. Richard, melting in the heat. Oh, Jono said Jethro Tull is a nice start. It is, yeah. It's the Jethro Tull radio, so we're going to get music like Jethro Tull. Richard, melting is in the heat, but further all good. Yeah, it is quite hot today. Psycat, how have you been? I have been like the winter snow. Is it? Where are you, Psycat? I assume it's very cold where you are. And Jono said, Richard, you also in RSA. If I remember right, was in KK. No, Richard, well, I'll let Richard tell you. I'm not going to share personal private information if people don't want me to. It'd be a bit rude. Psychats in India. Oh, cool. That's nice. Why are you... Well, it depends where you are. Where exactly are you in India? Because when we talk about India, you go into like some areas, well, I suppose closer to the mountains, and it gets cold. But I know in like Mumbai, oh, the temperatures are just insane. Crazy, crazy, crazy shit. And if you go to the temperatures in Mumbai don't even change hardly throughout the year, winter, summer. The northeast, yes, it's close. Northeast, cold. Oh, okay, there you go. Yeah, it's one of those strange places. I mean, you come to South Africa, it's either hot or it's cold, depending on what time of year it is. It can't be, well, I suppose it can be like, well, not sweltering temperatures in one place and freezing cold in you know, another part of South Africa. It's generally winter or summer. But yeah. Zanka, hello, thanks for joining. Jono, okay. It was too hot when I was at Tux. Jersey was a comfortable 32 today. What was it, 32? What's the temperature now? Here we go, finally got there. Bloody slow computer again today. Oh, it's 29 degrees at the moment. Okay. I'm actually going to pull this up because I've got a feeling I might drop. My internet might drop a bit. Right, so anything specific anybody wants to talk about? For I don't know if Psycat if you've been here before or not. The Covenstead is just no topic really. Whatever comes up in the chat, we will talk about. And if you want to pitch in with some information, please do so. It's nice to hear from other people's experiences as well. Let me just see how many people are here, and I can give my announcement. I'll do my announcement now. I'm going to do it anyway during the week, or next week. So, what I'm going to do now, it's going to be a tier on Patreon for $10 a month, but it's completely separate to everything else. It's going to be just stand by itself as a particular service, monthly service. It's going to be protection and cleansing for anybody who needs some extra protection and cleansing, because from the forecast we had for 2025, it looks like it's going to be a bit rough. So I'll be doing a monthly ritual on a live stream, and I'm going to be calling Hecate and Nogal for that. Everything's worked out already, but what's going to basically happen is it'll be on the new moon, every new moon, so that date or day during the week is obviously going to change. It's obviously, it'll be recorded, so anybody who can't make it on that particular day at a particular time can watch it afterwards and go through the ritual if they so desire. They'll get the protection and cleansing anyway, because it's what I've got a little bowl. I left it over there now, sorry, otherwise I would have shown you. I've got a little bowl, and I'm going to put marbles in the bowl, which represent people who are on the tier, obviously. And then I'll do cleansing and protection for all the people that are connected. It's going to be on Patreon, and therefore I do have it switched on, so you can actually gift other people if you have the means to do so, and which would be very nice, because I know everybody can't afford it, a monthly thing. But yeah, I think that was it. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to set that up during this week, so it will be on next week. I'll announce it on my normal videos, probably be on the Wednesday video, and yeah, I can do some good protection and cleansing work. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to wear my robe and everything, very fancy schmancy. Yeah. All right, so anything anybody want to talk about? It's very quiet again today. Actually, not a lot of people here this week. Might as well tell you what I'm going to be doing next month then. So everybody's so quiet. So let's see. Path series is going to be on Theosophy. Then I am going to be doing. Hang on, let me just make sure I don't get this all mixed up. Psycho, thank you for your services and the content. It's an absolute pleasure. No, do what I can to help. You know, let's just see what's going on in the month of February. Alright, so Theosophy is going to be the Path series, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with the various things on the Toltec Path series that I was talking about. So this month is going to be the Path with Heart. It's something that's always mentioned in the Castaneda's works and Toltec Path itself. So I'm going to talk about the Path with Heart and what it is, what it means, etc., etc. I'm going to do one of those a month. That should carry me through the whole year. And then I'm going to be doing a series or a show on ancestral worship. And the book review is going to be Awakening the Witchblood by Nathan King. So that's what's happening this month. Okay. Richard, looking forward to that. Which part? That's the problem with this YouTube thing. There's a delay between me and the chat. So I say a load of stuff and then someone comments and I don't know what they're talking about. All of it. Some good things coming. Yes, yeah, there's definitely some good things coming. Sammy Blues, hello Sammy. Do you recommend working with Velafor for massive plans? Sorry, just trying to remind myself of Velafor. Let me have a look. No, it's not on there, is it? I know this was one that came up recently, so I should have it in my memory banks, but I cannot remember. I'll go here. I'm vigorously updating Liber Daemon, or Daimon by the way. So hopefully I should have all of the spirits that we've done in Demon of the Week up in a couple of weeks anyway. Right, let's see. The sixth, oh, it is the sixth spirit, so it should be on Liber Daemon. There we go. Oh, cool. Within shape line, temptress. Big plans for what exactly? Or massive plans for what exactly? Just let me know about that. This is really a spirit about manipulation and cursing. Unethical, but in his realm. Okay, so if it is for cursing and manipulation work, then yeah, sure. Sure, I've worked with Velafor before in regards to this. It was a while back, so I can't remember if it was Velafor exactly or one of the other ones. but it just, as I say, it just rings a very familiar bell. So yes, I would work with Valor for, if it's, as I said, for cursing and manipulation work, then sure. And it also says that, I mean, they all really give familiars, but it does mention that he gives good familiars, and Rufus Opus mentions make good fetchers. They are good short-range eyes, useful for gathering information, getting small amounts of cash to fund magical projects, and finding places to purchase obscure cult items. Not sure what that has to do with cursing and manipulation, anyway. So in some interpretations, the cursing aspect is actually a cutting away, and that can be used on self as opposed to other people. But the manipulation aspect is used on other people, so yeah. Theft and cunning. Possibly. The best thing to do is actually do some divination. And, you know, with anything, with any kind of work you're doing, you should actually be doing the divination anyway. But do the divination and check. You know, don't even ask the spirit directly to begin with. Do some divination, ask if that is the right spirit to use for this particular situation. And then if you get a yes, then go to the spirit and ask them directly if they are the best spirit to help you in this situation. It probably will therefore end up being a yes, but you might find that it becomes they kind of suggest somebody else for the job at that particular time, because there may be a timing issue, a planetary timing issue or something like that. So definitely do your divination first and then check with the spirit, and then if everything's hunky-dory, go for it. Right, let's get back to Jono. I can ask questions and talk for the sake of talking. Blowback and karma from unsavory workings someone I know wants to do is a topic. What do you want to talk about, Uncle? Are you doing magic stuff? I'm busy just carrying on with the goetic working that I'm busy developing, which taps into the planetary energies and the decans. So that's an ongoing thing at the moment, but I've just been really busy with website work, so I haven't gone into a lot myself. But you also, you also said, cool, Sammy, I'm going to piggyback off your question. I hope you don't mind. Aren't you worried about the negative karma of doing unethical workings? That depends on Sammy's beliefs, and also if it's justified. But I can't answer that, so you're not sure to ask Sammy that question. But yeah, the blowback, you did say blowback and karma from unsavory workings someone I know wants to do is a topic. You know, we've spoken about this before when it comes to cursing and hexing. It can be justified. You know, if my personal belief is that we have to keep balance. So if someone has done something to you, you then need to do something to balance that out. So if that's a counter curse or something like that, then, you know, so be it. So it really depends on the situation, actually. Psycat, what are your thoughts on the feasibility of attaining supernatural powers like actual physical teleportation, shape-shifting, and so on? I think for some people it's worthy. You know, for me, it's never really been. It's been an interest. It was an interest when I was really young. But I think my own personal pursuit then became the pursuit of knowledge, really, and how to manipulate energy. That's been my focus, and still is my focus, is energy work itself. So the idea of putting all that work in and effort to just be able to teleport or to levitate or shapeshift or, you know, shape-shifting is a kind of a different aspect. I think there's a lot of things within mysticism, within magic, that you find in mythology, which I think happened and we don't speak about so much anymore. Possibly because people are just losing the connection to those particular energies, like teleportation, like speedrunning. All of these things, they're fascinating. I think they're absolutely fascinating, but there's a lot of effort that needs to go into developing these skills, and personally, I just would rather spend that effort, working with energy and attaining knowledge and things like that. So, but if somebody has a particular interest in that and they want to develop it and they want to put in that effort and time, then absolutely go for it. Because along the line, you're also going to develop other abilities. You can't develop these abilities without also working on your energy bodies and developing psychic abilities and all the other stuff. So, all of those things develop along with it. But it just depends on your goal, really. Sammy said, thank you, it's a pleasure. Luke, hello, Fatherly, my favourite time of week has begun. Good stuff, glad you're here, thanks for joining. Sammy, reply for Jono, it's just out of curiosity. There we go. Ben, hello, Ben. Hello, everyone. Welcome. If Ben Anguis has created a new YouTube channel just to explore. It's going to be a bit like a vlog. I guess I need to just put the URL. I'm just going to put the URL because we like to support our family. And let's come up like this. Let's see. No, it doesn't come up like that. Let's just do this. While I'm trying to find that, Psycho, yes, in Tantra people are losing connection with those aspects of practice as well. Yeah, there's a few different ideas of why that's happening, I think. And it becomes quite interesting. Some will suggest that, hold on, have I got the right one? Yes, here it is. It should be this one. Ben, just let me know if this is the wrong one. It looks like the right one. People losing connection to the energies and the powers. As I said, there's probably a few reasons for this, and one could be that I think it's explained as the worlds are kind of shifting apart too much, but it kind of goes in a bit of a cycle. And I think what's happening is we're kind of doing this, and we've gotten to the point where it's kind of quite distant. And I do believe it's going to start coming back. So the overlap of the worlds are going to be a bit closer. Not that they're actually separated at the same time. So this becomes a bit of a difficult conversation, difficult discussion. Because they're not separate, but it's almost like there's an energy shift which is pulling us away slightly, and it's going to come back at some point. The other possible explanation is that people aren't focused on one thing now anymore. And this is something that I remember William Gray raising in his book, Kabbalistic Concepts. I think it was that book. But kind of said that, in Renaissance times, medieval times, and such, Victorian, etc., a person would kind of pick a topic like alchemy, but not even just alchemy, a specific thing within alchemy, for instance, and would dedicate their entire life to learning just that thing. And nowadays, with our fast food society and our instant coffee society, we have to do everything. We have to have all of the knowledge now. And we spread ourselves so thin, trying to get as much knowledge as we possibly can, that we don't focus on one thing. And I think that's because we're spreading ourselves so thin across the board, we are not connecting as strongly to these energies and these powers that we can. And I think that's kind of another one of the reasons. I've said there are probably several reasons why, but it's what comes to mind anyway. Alright, Jono. Okay, so the dude I know wants to do a working to make his friend's ex-boyfriend impotent. He thinks he's being a good friend. I think blowback and karma is going to leave him with those problems, probably. Yeah, this is when things get a little petty. I mean, if you're going to do a hex and a curse or hex or a curse, it's got to be something that's severe. It's, you know, I actually had somebody once come to me offering me 5,000 rand, which is about $300, to curse somebody in their office because they didn't like them. They just didn't like them. There's no real reason. It's not like they kind of like, you know, killed their pet cat or something, or you know, threatened their child or something like that. It was just because they just didn't like them, you know. So they're willing to pay me all this money just to curse them. Right? No. Please go away. So yeah, I think, you know, there's a reason why it's his friend's ex-boyfriend. Because it should be the ex-boyfriend and is the ex-boyfriend and probably hurt the person, but that's what life's about. You know, it's about falling in love and getting hurt. I can't curse people for that, just because of that. Stupid. Anyway, yes, I do. Yes, I agree with you. I think they're going to get blowback on that one. Luke, I have a question. I started to connect with Morgana Le Fay 4 months ago. We connected around 10 times. Today she answered my questions about her life, King Arthur, Mordred, etc., and with some deities. I know way longer, and I didn't get an answer, or at least not that much. Why? Sorry, I lost you a bit there. You said that she answered your questions about her life, King Arthur, Mordred, etc., and with some deities. You didn't get the answers, or at least not that much. Why? I don't know. You'd have to ask Morgana Le Fay. Yeah, I feel like I'm missing something here. So if you can just elaborate on that a little bit. Sorry about that. Psycat, same issues with Tantra here, curses and hexes without any rhyme or reason. It's a common thing, it really is. It probably comes from this idea that you know, people come from sort of a westernized, Christianized background, and all of a sudden they feel like they are given permission to do all this stuff themselves, and you know, so they have all this power. But unfortunately, they don't understand what that really means, and just so, you know, they just go crazy, start cursing every Tom, Dick, and Harry they can think of. And obviously, it also depends on a person's understanding and worldview as well. What happens if you do something, do a curse, do a hex, and the reasons you're doing them. Zanka, I've started to study the Witch Compass. In the future and for a more advanced level, is the way to choose the deities with the ones you have the most feeling for, or should you use pendulum or things like geomancy? So when it comes to the Witch's Compass, you are, throughout your life, you're going to be placing different things in the different directions on the compass itself. And the associations you find now may change in the future. So it's going to develop, change, morph, and it's your worldview. It's a representation of your worldview. So that's going to keep changing. Um, but when it comes to the deities, the placement of spirits and things like that on the compass, you will find that you associate each direction with a particular thing. And, let's take east, for instance. It's the place of the rising sun. So you may want to place fire there. Some people place air, but you may want to place fire as an element if you are working with elements. And that because it represents the sun coming up in the morning. Its fire is also refreshing, rejuvenating, renewal, and it's a new day. This is also the position of the spring equinox, and the rebirth of the year, the new year. Because of the rising sun, and also we talk about the morning stars, not just Venus, but it can be various different planets, which are considered the morning star. It's the star, the planet that kind of rises before the sun comes up in the morning, and that morning star becomes the bringer of something, of knowledge, beauty, etc., etc., etc. So this can be associated with Lucifer, or the horn god with the flame betwixt the horns. But you may also want to associate it with a Welsh, or not Welsh, a Celtic deity like Lu, because of that morning, that not childlike, but renewing aspect, the sun god aspect, rather than this is the other thing with when it comes to light bringers and sun gods and things like that. I see some people associating like the light bringers and the sun gods. There was something else in that category as well that we're associating, but they're not always the same. A sun god is not always a light bringer. When we associate Lucifer specifically with Venus, it's not the planet Venus, but the light from Venus. So and then when we talk about the sun, you have the sun god, and then you have the light of the sun itself. You can speak about the moon and the light from the moon. So the light is not necessarily the body itself. So therefore, a sun god is not always a light bringer. I'm just going off topic. But anyway, so getting back to the compass. So you've got all these associations you would place in a particular direction. You can place magical weapons. You can place mythical lands, for instance. All of these things you start to associate with a direction. And then you might associate various different spirits, gods, goddesses, daemons, fae, jinn, all of these spirits with this particular direction, because they have the same connection as the mythical land, or the aspect of the rising sun, the aspect of the light bringer, the aspect of fire, for instance, as in the morning, the sun coming up in the morning. Fire can then be, you can move that around to the hottest day, the point where it's midday, midsummer. That's either north or south, depending on which hemisphere you're on, and if you're following the path of the sun or not. But fire can also be placed there because it's the hottest part of the day. But at the same time, you can also associate elements or aspects of the earthy aspects. You've got, it's midsummer, so it's when the earth is the most vibrant, the most fertile, when the plants are all, the flowers are bloomed and the plants are flourishing and everything else. And the young puck is frolicking with the young maiden in the field and all of that stuff. So, but that also then can then become an association with the forge god. But that forge god can also come in the aspect of from moving from the east, the the spring equinox through to the midsummer aspect. So there's all these associations that you start to develop and you start to find as you continue down the path. And when it comes to associating the various aspects of this, that becomes a very personal thing. It's not necessarily something you may want to, you need to check with your pendulum or geomancy or divination system. It's a feeling, a strong connection that you feel should be there for that particular god or goddess. And just allow it. Just as I said, it's a thing that continues for the rest of your life. So it's not something you have to decide on now. You may be one day just reading a book and all of a sudden just clicks. The specific spirit just makes so much sense to put it in the West, where you may have the watery divide or the river Styx or the king of the Fae on the fairy mound, and all of these various aspects as well, which is representative of the passage from this world to the other world. So all of a sudden you just have this association that just makes so much sense, and you then place it there. So just let it grow and build as you grow and build. It's really what it's about. Right, enough of my rambling. Let's do some more rambling somewhere else. Sammy Blues, another question: which entity do you think recommended in financial matters from Cornec, Boone, Grimory, and Maman? I haven't worked with Grimory. Cornec, a lot of people use for continuous financial thing. I find Cornec to be more of an emergency money aspect. Was when I guess actually thinking about it now, it's not really emergency magic that I used or called Cornec for. It was a period in my life that I needed a boost of finances because I was getting divorced. So I needed a big boost of finances in order to get through the divorce, to pay everything, and get through it all. And so I asked Cornec for help with that. So I guess that's not really emergency magic. I kind of always associate Cornec with emergency money. You kind of in a bit of a bind, you need to get out of the bind, therefore you call Cornec and to help you with something. But it really is that just that extra boost. Boone, I find, stabilizes everything. Boone is just a very gentle, stable type of energy and spirit. I love Boone. Just one of my favorite spirits. I work closely with Boone myself. But it's very, very much that stabilizing feel to everything. So if you find that your finances are up and down all over the place, then Boone will kind of level things out. I've worked with Boone. I worked with Boone last year specifically it was a bit of an experiment with a spirit box to increase finances, and it worked. It was a very gradual type of increase, but it wasn't kind of that up and down type of thing. That crazy. 1 month is good, the other month is terrible, and therefore, all this stuff. So yeah, I would say Boone's excellent. As I said, I haven't worked with Grimory. Mammon is a taskmaster. Mammon's energy is crazy. Seriously crazy shit. And reports from other people are usually kind of focused around Mammon is going to kind of break everything down. If Mammon is really there to take what you have, like a business, and turn it into an empire, turning it into something huge and big. Okay. But his energy is just crazy, absolutely insane. But yeah, no. As I said, Taskman. A lot of people say that he will break everything down in order to build it up again, and will often ask you to do some really, really strange things, and you have to follow through with them in order to get to the other side to find out why you were doing that thing. So there's a lot of trust involved when you're working with Mammon. Quite a difficult spirit to work with. So yeah, if you are kind of new to the whole thing, I don't know if you are, but if you are new to the whole thing, I would leave off Mammon for the time being. Some people say that Mammon's easy to work with. I'm not sure they're working with the same spirit I worked with. So, as I said, insane. But yeah. Jono Psycat, it's awful. Petty catty bitchy practitioners are giving the rest of us a bad name. Worst is it's that dude's friend asking him to do the working. I think it's so she doesn't get blowback. Yeah, no, it's just people whose feelings get hurt, and they think that magic is the remedy to all things, unfortunately. Luke, sorry, maybe it was my bad. I'm wondering why some deities didn't answer my question. In the fact I know them and connected more often with them than with Morgana, and she did. I don't know. These are questions you have to ask them, not me, because you didn't ask them of me. This is kind of like going to your next door neighbor and asking them a question, and then going to your boss and saying, "Why didn't my next door neighbor answer me?" He doesn't know. They don't know. She doesn't know. It's just you're gonna have to ask the spirits themselves. I'm sorry. Okay, yes, Jono, your call. No, Uncle, have you got some weird workings people have asked you to do off the top of your head? I'm guessing it would be fun to hear your stories. There is one that always I remember distinctly because it disturbed me so much I cannot forget about it. I had somebody tell me they had a 6-year-old, 6 or 8-year-old, anyway, a young child, a young boy, who had autism, quite high on the spectrum, ADHD, etc., and really kind of battled with things generally. And she had recently gotten divorced. Her ex-husband had a new girlfriend, and he was planning on getting married. And she started telling me that she wanted me to do something, and she was saying that every time her son goes to the father and the new girlfriend, he gets abused, emotionally, sexually, physically, everything else. And when somebody tells me that, I see red and I immediately want to curse, the worst kind of curse you can possibly think of. But something didn't feel right. So I asked my friend to do some divination for me regarding this to find out what the hell was going on, because something just felt a bit off. It came back that if he died before he got married to his new girlfriend, that the son would get a huge inheritance of like $2 million or something. And because he was so young, she would be in control of that inheritance. But if he got married and then died, everything changed. The son wouldn't get the inheritance, the new wife would. So you can draw your own conclusions here. She basically wanted me to curse the ex-husband and kill him so that she could get the inheritance from her autistic son. So yeah, some sick people out there. But anyway, that's the one that comes to mind. It's a bit disturbing as well. So yeah, let's carry on for a while. If anything else pops up, I'll let you know. Just need to clear my brain of that one. Zanka, thanks for your long and precise answer. It was a long and precise answer. It's a pleasure. I do ramble sometimes. Psycat, that Luke, my bad, yes. Luke, no worries. Gills, hello Gills. Thanks for joining. What information do I need to put into a petition paper? depends what kind of petition paper. There's actually, when it comes to petition papers, there's actually a prayer paper, which is something I actually enjoy doing, rather than these, the idea of like voodoo petition papers. The prayer paper is kind of writing a letter to whatever power you're reaching out to, whether it's yourself, your higher self, or whatever, or God, or whatever it is. This power you're reaching out to, you kind of write a letter to. And you can seriously, start with dear da 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 da. It is my intention to, etc., etc., etc. So, and you can write an entire letter and really detail everything, and then sign it at the end, and fold it up and use that as your petition paper. You did say for boon for a career boost. So what you want to do, if it's like a will sentence that you are creating for a sigil, for instance, or a servitor or something like that, you kind of want to get specific as you can, but at the same time, and this is going to be confusing, at the same time try and keep it as open as you can. The reason is you need to be specific enough so that things just don't go haywire. You can put like a clause in there as long as it doesn't harm anybody, because a lot of people found that if they just openly, left it open to whatever method you use, just bring it to me, their favorite aunt or uncle would die and leave them an inheritance. Regarding finances and money magic and stuff. So, as long as it doesn't harm anybody, is kind of a clause that you might want to put in there. But at the same time, you don't want to get so specific that you kind of say a specific amount. Like, as an example, I want $1,000 additional to my salary. Because then what happens is you can sort of imagine the energies kind of floating around and going, okay, well, there's one over there. No, that's $1,050, so we won't do that one. Oh, here's one, but that's $5,000. They asked for $1,000, so let's forget about that one. And keep looking for $1,000 opportunity, whereas you've kind of missed all of these other bigger opportunities. So, as I said, it's a bit difficult, a bit tricky. You want to get specific, but try and leave it as open as you can. I don't know if that actually helps or not. For a career boost, just ask for a promotion. Probably the best thing to do. Yeah. No. Oh, here we are. Psycat, great insight for beginners and recommendation for financial magic. Was that something I said? I don't remember what I said now. Sammy, thank you. It's a pleasure. Impressive. Luke, I know it was actually done to ask, and that was the question I was working for. But no, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's just, as I said, I can't answer a question that really needs to be asked of the person who originally asked the question. Sammy, how does a chaos sigil magic work from your perspective? If you are speaking specifically about sigils themselves, so Frater UD actually explains this fantastically in Practical Sigil Magic. What happens in Chaos Magic itself, they speak about the psychic sensor, which is kind of like the filters. So we have filters. Our unconscious mind has filters. Conscious or unconscious, subconscious, don't know. One of the conscious minds has filters, and we filter out thousands of stimuli every second of every day. Because if we took it all in, we would just go completely insane. We would just be zombies. And we can see this in there was actually an old movie. It was really, really good. What the fuck do we know? I think that was what it's called. Let me just double check. And what the bleep do we know? What the bleep do we know? Yeah, what the bleep do we know? What the fuck do we know? You should actually watch that because it's really, really good, and it explains quantum theory, quantum physics. But what was I talking about just now? Oh, the filters. It talks about the filters. So if you have two people that experience an accident, and then you ask them both for a report, you're going to get changes and differences because we filter things out as things happen. So you're going to get slight changes and differences, even though these two witnesses witness exactly the same thing happen. One person, you may say there was a person standing on the side of the road. What color was their jacket? One person might say green, another one might say blue, because they filtered that out because the focus wasn't on the person with the jacket. Anyway, got all these filters. In chaos magic, they call it psychic sensors. So I'm going to use my head as an example. So we have the conscious mind in the front and the unconscious mind at the back. And what happens is stuff comes into the conscious mind through our eyes, through our ears, through our nose, all the senses, okay? And then it kind of goes around and then it hits these filters, these psychic sensors, and everything gets filtered and then it gets filed away in the subconscious or unconscious mind. Some people will talk about a difference between the subconscious and unconscious, so I'm not going to get into that. I can't remember myself anyway. But everything gets filed away, all right? What happens in sigil magic specifically is that we start off with a conscious thing, which is this conscious sentence, this intention that we have, and we see it in words. All right. Now, the unconscious mind speaks in symbols and glyphs and images and things like that. So we start off with this sentence, which is words, which the conscious mind recognizes. It knows what we're trying to achieve. And what we do is we start to break it down. We take all of the, depending on what method you're using, obviously, we take all the vowels out, we take all the repeated consonants out, and we end up with a series of letters, which no longer represent the sentence itself. But the conscious mind still recognizes them. Okay? So then we start taking those letters and we make them into some kind of image, some kind of glyph. And the more we can break away from the conscious recognition, the better it becomes. Okay, so we kind of break away from the consciousness and we bring it into this unconscious recognition. So we create this image, a symbol, which represents that thing, but the conscious mind no longer can associate with that. We can obviously, our conscious mind can go, oh, but I know what it is, it represents this thing. Which is why when we start to do chaos magic, not everybody suggests this, but some people do, and something I do suggest is to create as many as you can and put them all away and then take them out in a week's time and see which ones you remember or associating with the actual will sentence itself, the original intention. If you do recognize it, put it back in the box. If you don't, if you can't remember what the symbol represented, then activate that one. And you just keep going through that process. But over time, you get used to kind of like, kind of keeping the conscious aspect away from it. But that lusting after results is the thing that we're trying to get away from, because we don't want it to come back into the conscious mind. We want it to stay in the unconscious where it can go do its thing, right? So we have this symbol which no longer represents a line of words. Then what we do is we go into a trance state, and that trance state is a liminal state, so you are between things. And the moment, and this you do recognize this, the more you do this, you do recognize it, but there's like a split second where you kind of move in between states, and it's that split second that image moves from this conscious aspect into the unconscious mind, and then you've done the work. All right, and you use the trance states to get into that liminal state in order to bypass the filters or the psychic sensors, and you therefore take it and you implant it straight into the unconscious mind, and therefore it doesn't get filed away into the subconscious. It just goes straight into the unconscious and out to do its work. Then the tricky part is to not keep consciously thinking about it. Now, obviously, with sigil magic, we can activate a sigil and then bring it back into our daily lives by drawing on things, books, whether if it's like a protection sigil, you can draw it on yourself, you can draw it on your door frames, all of these things. So we do have sigils that we work with on a constant basis. but it's because we associate it with a particular thing: protection, finances, wealth, prosperity, love, etc., etc. Not a very specific thing. It's just a broad kind of, thing. So we don't. It's not as much of an interference to keep thinking about it over and over again in a conscious state, if we can put it that way. But even in cases like that, you kind of like, you glance at the sigil and you don't really think about it. You just keep glancing at it, and it becomes just part of the unconscious aspect. So yes, that's how, from my perspective, how they work. All right. Jono, what's the will sentence for a servitor you mentioned? I can imagine how that type of thing could be effective with servitors, but I haven't heard about doing something like that before. It's really just one way of working or creating a servitor. You quite often create a sigil in order to represent the servitor, and also you can get the name of the servitor from the will sentence itself. So you start off with exactly the same process as you would to create a sigil. So you create your will sentence, and then you would break it down. You would then create a sigil which represents the servitor. But then you can come back to the series of consonants that you created. You broke everything down into the series of single consonants. And then what you can do is you can actually move them around, you can shape them, and you can create, put the vowels back in so that you actually can't say the word. And then you create a name from these consonants, which then becomes the name of the servitor. And then you do all the other usual stuff, charge the servitor, program it, build it, all of that stuff. So you don't have to do that method. I mean, you can just work with the elemental energies and just bring those in. You don't need a sigil, or you can create the name many other ways. So that's just one way of working, one way of creating servitors. Guilds. So should I just write something like, I want another role making X, Y, and Z? If it's a career, you said a career boost, so I assumed you were looking more for a promotion. How much detail? Any specific details? You obviously know what the role is that you want, and therefore when you're writing the petition or writing the will sentence, you know what that is. So you're putting that intention into it as well. So yeah, I would say, but don't say I want, say I have. Always make things in the present as if you have them already. Because the problem is, if you say, let's say you create this, you have the sentence, I want another role making XYZ. So you say that now, I want another role. And then tomorrow, it's still, I want another role. And then the day after that, it's still I want, because it doesn't change, because it's always I want another role. Therefore, it needs to be I have. You have it currently. And if you have it currently, and you believe enough in this thing that you have enough, then everything has to move and shift and align in order for you to have it. Because the mirror neurons in the brain are kind of going, we have it, but I don't see it, so we've got to change something here, and everything shifts and change, and you then have it. So it's always I have. You have it now, currently. Alright, so yeah, sorry, I'm forgetting what I'm telling people here. I hope it's not a load of rubbish and it's actually good advice. Luke, another question. We're gonna have 8 archetypes like healer, shadow, etc. from the beginnings. I feel her dark aspect and so much connection with it. Is it okay to work only with this aspect? Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, any spirit you come across, they're going to have different facets or masks. That, I mean, look at Hecate. I mean, the thousands of different epithets that apply to just that one spirit. and they're all different facets of the same goddess. So, yeah, I mean, you work with one particular aspect. Um, don't have to work with all of them. Sammy, very helpful, thank you. It's an absolute pleasure. Ben, tell me why the fuck I went to a literal wonderland last night in meditation. Giant mushrooms, checkered stairs, and multicolored skies. Such a trip. I didn't even have to do drugs. I don't know. Because it was a good place for you to go to? Don't know. You have to find the symbolism. Did anybody speak to you? That's a good question. Did you speak to anybody? Did anybody speak to you? Did the mushrooms talk? There you go. Jono, nice answer on the will sentence, the same as defining chaos magic sigil. It's an absolute pleasure. Uncle again, building on one of Sammy's questions. When you asked about how sigils work, I wondered what battery you use to power that magic for yourself. I use Barden's Akasha, but deities could work. Sigil magic itself, I don't use anything. It's when it comes to sigil magic, the activation is the transference from the conscious to the unconscious mind, and then it goes into this thing. If you're talking about servitors, that's a different story. Then I bring in a particular energy, and I myself work with. I was taught in practical Kabbalah to make artificial elementals. So I actually use the elementals or the elements themselves. And usually all I do, I mean, if you watch, I don't think you're on the Google project tier, but the servitors that I create there are all, apart from the first one was actually created from the energy of 5 different diamonds. But they're usually created from either the planetary energies or the elements. And usually the elements, because I work on the Yetziratic wheel to create the name, the sigil, and everything else, which then comes into the middle, which is the 3 elements in the middle, and I work with that particular element or elements to charge the servitor. So yeah. Lotus, hello Lotus. I just started my spiritual journey a little over a year ago when I got a flood of memories from my childhood. I know that I used to see spirits and speak to them, but when I told my mum, she had a Santero come over and perform a ritual to make it go away. That's weird. How can I go about removing whatever was placed on me so I can get my abilities back? I'm at a loss because I don't have anyone to help. First thing I would actually do is go to another Santero and ask them to remove it. It's a very specific tradition, and usually better to go to that specific tradition in order to affect the change itself. If that is not possible, then you'll have to probably do some energy work on your energy bodies and chakra system, just to start from the root and start to move up and start, clearing things out, getting everything moving properly. During that process, you may find that there's a bit of a block somewhere. The energy is just not moving properly. And then you can work on that block itself. And don't force things. Never force energy blocks. If you do force an energy block, it can cause problems, psychoses, etc., or even physical problems, depending on where the block is. But other than that, just keep doing energy work, because if you've got a proper flow of energy, then that energy is going to be moving properly. As I said, if you are moving energy, if you're actually doing energy work on yourself, you're going to find a block somewhere. But, it would be best to actually find the best option is to find somebody who can actually work on you directly. And for this, I wouldn't even go to somebody who is doing it remotely. I think this particular thing is going to have to be a physical. It's like removing a power intrusion. It's almost like it needs to be sucked out. There's a blockage that needs to be removed, and it needs to be removed by somebody skillful. So if it is causing problems, then do that. But work on energy. So you did reply down here. I don't know where to begin in finding one. Thank you so much. I have a lot of blocks. I just started doing energy work. Okay, just keep working on it. As I said, don't force things. It can be quite bad to force energy blocks. But I don't think of anything more specific than that, actually. If I do, I might bring it into. I'll talk about it on a Wednesday or something like that. Yeah, I'm not sure I really helped, but anyway. All right, moving on then. Ben, everything was moving and morphing like I was being shown alternate realities that exist in the realms of psychedelic entities. No interactions with any spirits, though, just kept on with meditation. Yeah, so you may have been just experiencing the different energy. Um, uh, um, can't think of words now. Um, the energy fluctuations in your own system, in your own energy bodies itself. You may have just been experiencing that. Kind of a bit like if you start seeing the kind of flashes come by. They just keep flashing. It's quite often moving through your crown chakra. So it could have just been you experiencing your own energy bodies. And yeah, they can be a bit psychedelic sometimes. Mimolekipal. I'm just gonna call you Mima. Okay, it's a bit of a mouthful that, but thank you for joining. Hello, hello. Have you ever encountered a situation where someone was directed to you without any previous interest in demonometry, like my case, and without any search at all and interest in it? Yes. I assume when you say someone was directed to you, you're talking about the spirits themselves and not an actual person. Um, but yes, absolutely. And I get this question quite a bit actually. People who are not interested in a particular path all of a sudden have a spirit from that path come and introduce themselves to them. You find this question actually tends to come up a lot alongside am I being culturally appropriative? Because sometimes someone's introduced to a spirit from voodoo or something like that, and they kind of feel a bit awkward because they are a white person. But there's ways to approach that, ways to go about it. I had Hecate come to me over and over and over again for years, and I've never been interested in the Greek or the Egyptian mythologies and pantheon, but she just kept coming back, and eventually I gave in. Same thing with Pan's kind of been there right from the beginning. That was a different story altogether. But again, it's got that Greek association, and I've had no interest in the Greek, so I've kind of been forced down that road. But yeah, definitely happens. You said out of the blue, kind of stumbling into your videos totally only after just doing energy vampirism. Okay. Good stuff. Right. Well, glad you found me right here. Luke, if the sigil is unknown, like there's no info nowhere, what's better to ask being about things she like and draw sigil with these objects, or connect with her and start to draw sigil while she is with you. I assume you're talking about sigil that you are being directed to draw directly from the spirit. Then it would be to draw the sigil while the spirit's present, because they are directing you in that manner. Psycat, how would you describe working with Asmodeus? Same intensity as Mammon. He seems to be a taskmaster as well. He is. I'm sure I've mentioned this before, but no, I have to mention it again. So, the first time I called on Asmodeus, he took over my vocal cords, and he kind of came in, and it was like he was looking around. He was in my body, and he was looking around, and he said, "Okay, all right, well, it's weak, but it'll do." Talking about me, I'm like, "Okay, thanks." But yeah, no, Asmodeus. I don't know why Asmodeus keeps popping up for me, because we actually don't have any connection, the two of us personally. But he keeps popping up, and I don't know. I really don't know why. I think it's usually to suggest that other people actually work with him for whatever they have going on in their life. But personally, we just don't seem to have a good connection. But I do remember for 2 weeks after that invocation, I was just horny the whole time. 2 weeks, completely. I'm going to actually rather use the term lust-filled, because that's what it really was, and it's a sense of power. And I think this is where Asmodeus is referred to as being a lust demon, and I think that's where the association actually comes in. It's not about the lust or the horniness of the sex. It's about the power that brings, because that energy is it makes you feel power. It makes you feel invincible, and can be quite dangerous in that state. But yeah, no. I don't think he's Asmodeus as bad as Mammon personally. Mammon's energy, oh man, I invoked Mammon one night, and for the next 24 hours I was just going. I could not sit still. I got like hours of work done the next morning in like an hour. It was crazy. It was quite similar to the time I actually took LSD. I know everybody kind of talks about the acid trips and hallucinations and everything else. I didn't have any of that. I was just going for 24 hours. I couldn't stop. I was just buzzing. I was studying at the time. I was in college, and I was studying interior design, and I got an entire project done overnight. It's just crazy. The same type of thing, really. But anyway, right, moving on. Oh, that skipped. Hold on. Jono, I think we do the same thing with Chaos Magic Sigils, just with different words for it. It's the same as what the New Age Manifestation folk do. I believe it's tapping straight into Akasha for power. You can, charge a sigil with various items, fluids, energies, and things like that. Yes, you can do it. It's not a method I kind of do myself. Mine is very much that, activated by transferring it from conscious to unconscious. And then if I want to work with it again, then I'll draw it on some various things, or put it up somewhere, type of thing. So that you can obviously do it that way. Not really a method I do myself. Lotus, you did thank you. I have a hope that I can get a resolution. Okay, as long as it helps somehow. Jono said to Lotus, one of my magic teachers talks about blockages and past life experiences in terms of curling, the Winter Olympics sport. Don't force anything, get the stone moving and sweep to clear the way. Yes, I agree with that, absolutely. I'm losing my place. Hold on. Lotus said, Johnny, thank you. What type of energy work do you recommend is best to start with? I would actually do something like I do qigong myself. It's my favorite. But you can do. There's lots of different movement energy type of meditation where you can do yoga, Tai Chi, there's Falun Dafa, there's Tensegrity from Castaneda. They all work on energy, on the energy bodies, on moving energy, getting the flow going properly. If you do want to actually, might actually be good to have a look into Tensegrity by Castaneda. He wrote a book called Magical Passes, which is a whole series of sets of tensegrity exercises, workings. The reason I say this is because the method itself is very much about actually breaking up stagnant energy. So it might actually be quite helpful for what you need. The idea is that our energy body is shaped in like an egg. But it's kind of like pointy at the top and then it kind of comes down and it's at the bottom because all of our energy is kind of fallen down because we don't use it, right? And it's kind of gets stagnant at the bottom. So tensegrity kind of starts you off with these kind of stomping actions, and this is breaking up and smashing the stagnant energy at your feet. And then once you've got that smashed up and it's kind of warmed up, then you start to move it. You move it into like the vital centers of your body. But after a while, what happens is the egg then starts to, because the energy is not stagnant anymore, it starts to move up. It kind of starts to form into this ball instead of this kind of sloppy egg kind of formation. But it's that whole stomping and breaking up the energy which is kind of cool. But at the same time, I mean, all the other methods, qigong works fantastically, absolutely fantastically, because you are bringing attention to the energy flowing around in your body again, and because you're bringing attention to it, it starts to move properly. And when it starts to move properly, you kind of start to feel or sense where the blockages are. But you keep doing it, and it's almost like, persistence. So it keeps hitting the blockage, and eventually it breaks a bit more away, and then eventually it breaks through the blockage, and it starts to flow, and then everything's flowing nicely, and you keep it flowing. So yeah, I would have a look into tensegrity, and just because of the stomping and the smashing, it's quite a cool exercise. It's quite involved though. You can actually find, if you go onto, apart from the book itself, book's invaluable, if you're going to get into tensegrity itself, but you'll find the old members of Castaneda's party actually made videos, and they've been uploaded to YouTube, and they demonstrate all the different sets of tensegrity movements. So they're also, if you get into it, they're also invaluable. They're quite funny looking. You do these arm movements, and you sweep around, and you pull the energy, and you throw it back, and it's really cool. I enjoy it. But yeah, I have to go for qigong as well. All right. Oh, from a far rock away. Hello. Can you speak on destroying thought forms that don't serve the mind appropriately? Yeah, tell him to sod off. That's what it really is. So, this isn't just thought forms, it's thoughts in general. Those negative thoughts. And there was actually, I can't remember the phrasing exactly. I know it's in the books of my old mentor, Jacobus Swat. He used to speak about his mentor, William Gray, saying were giving him instructions on how to get rid of negative thoughts, and it had to do with negative thoughts and negative emotions, and it had to do with evacuating the body. So, if I remember correctly, I have this wrong way around, and there was a phrase that you kind of said while you were doing it. If you had negative emotions, you would, when you go to the toilet and have a pee, you just imagine all these negative emotions coming out of your body, and you say this phrase, whatever it was. And you can make up that phrase if you want to. And if it was negative thoughts, when you go and have a crap, you do the same thing. You imagine just all this negative thoughts being removed from your body as you're evacuating all of these thoughts. And I think, personally, I think it's a brilliant method, and it works. But if your thoughts have gone to the point where you've actually created a thought form, then what you want to do is go to therapy. First of all, it's something you definitely need to go to therapy for, because what usually takes place here is that you have such negative and destructive thoughts that you create this thought form in order to kind of torture yourself, and you need therapy to get past that, to understand why you're actually having these thoughts, destructive thoughts about yourself to begin with. Okay. But these thought forms can often get to the point where they become poltergeist and they start throwing things around. It's no good saging, it's no good trying to do all the usual cleansing methods and things like that. It just irritates the shit out of them. Basically, if you try and remove this negative thought form from your space, you're kind of trying to remove yourself from the space. You can't do that. So it just gets worse, all right? So go to therapy, understand why you're having these thoughts in the first place, and why you created this thought form. And then if you need to, if it's still around, if you haven't broken it down just through that method itself, then make cookies. Make some cookies, and while you are making the dough, force the thought form into the dough. Mix it all up, put it in the oven, and bake it, and the heat transforms it. And then you take it into yourself, and it's all transmuted and transformed through the heat process, through fire and everything else. And then you just take it into yourself. Don't give it to other people. Eat the cookies yourself, and take your own thoughts back, and then you shit them out. Simple as that. The peeing and crapping process is a very important aspect of magic, believe it or not. All right, Luke, thanks. Do you think that connecting with some beings, upgrading or cleaning your energy, when I connecting with Sol, goddess of sun in Nordic, I feel so much energy in solar plexus chakra. Yeah, you can connect with planetary energies for a variety of different things. The sun is a fantastic cleansing process, because the sun has to do with the self and the ego, and yeah, you would feel it in the solar plexus. I would say sun is associated more with heart center myself, but I can see why you would feel it in your solar plexus. But yeah, cleansing and using the energies from different entities, definitely cleansing. Sammy, do you think Kemet of Egypt is as practicable in all areas as much as the Ars Goetia? I don't know. I don't work Egyptian magic at all. It's just something I've never been interested in. As I was saying earlier, I've never been interested in the Greek either, but I was forced in that direction. Haven't been forced in the Egyptian direction yet. But yeah, just really never been down that road. I think people find that a bit weird, but it's the way it is. Yeah, sorry. I'm trying to think of it if I can answer that question in any way, but I don't think I can. I'll probably be talking a load of rubbish. Psycat. Oh well, then I am way too much of a pookie to be entertained by Lord Asmodeus. Blow me out of the water. I don't know. Again, I can't answer that question for you, but it's just an interesting spirit to work with, and I find that Asmodeus, for some people, is actually very, very helpful, largely to overcome, or to gain confidence, really. And it is that kind of bringing that power. And I think we kind of often mistake sexual energy for that kind of magical energy, which is power. I don't really like using that word power because it gets misinterpreted a lot. But yeah, it's power, and it does feel very lustful, because it's so similar. But that kind of gives you that confidence boost and gives you that drive forward, to accomplish everything you need to do. So, very interesting spirit. Just not, just doesn't seem to, just keeps coming up, but no personal connection. Lotus, never heard of that, but I'll definitely get his book and try it out. Thanks so much. It's a pleasure. I'm going to be once a month on the Monday videos. No longer Monday, the Sunday videos before this Covenstead. I'm going to be talking about various principles and ideas from Castaneda's work, Toltec Warrior Path itself. So I'm not going to be talking about tensegrity specifically, but if you do find interest in the Toltec Path and Castaneda's works, you might find that quite interesting. It's just Toltec has been one of those things that kind of stuck with me for years and years and years, and I keep going back to. Castaneda tended to use a lot of different terminology, but kind of explained it in a way that was very difficult to understand. But once you do understand what he was talking about, you kind of realize that all these other paths kind of talk about it as well, just using different words. But just trying to get to that understanding part. That's why I'm taking all these various concepts of Toltec and talking about them this year. Jono and Uncle, I think we have different understandings of accessing Akasha. I think that the movement of the concept from consciousness to subconscious is Barden's Akashic vault. No fluids necessary. No, I know. No, just what I was trying to say was some people use fluids, blood, semen, sexual fluids, alcohol, spirits, that they actually set alight, and it creates the flames actually come up and create the sigil. That's why I was talking about fluids. There's all different ways of creating sigils, but tapping into various energies, elemental, planetary, akashic, all of those types of energies. That's another way of tapping into an energy to charge a sigil. From a far up away, also, can you speak on any techniques to stop other magicians from trying to read my thoughts, or for me transmitting electromagnetic impulses they can retrieve? Shielding. Really, that's it, shielding. What can I really say about shielding? You put up a shield. The shield is you use visualization and you create a shield which stops things from coming in and allows things that you do want into your space to come into your space. So you can block thoughts, you can block energies, you can block spirits. It's the same principle as casting a protective circle. You first banish and therefore reset the space that you're working in, and then you create the space around you which is then your own personal cosmos, and you allow in energies that you want in, and you keep out energies that you don't want. So you just do a visualization each day, just to create a bubble around you. Yes, you said, yes, I need a good cloak. I'm imagining a very large, sturdy bubble. Yeah, it's like the Green Lantern. Oh yes, Green Lantern. I get it. Yeah, definitely go for the Green Lantern stuff. I like Green Lantern stuff. All right, Jono. Uncle, if thought forms are solid enough, do you reckon banishing pentagrams would do anything? I haven't tried it. My negative thought forms are plentiful, but all weak and short-lived anyway. It's not about... I don't think it's about the solidity, it's about the energy vibration. And thought forms are usually on a lower vibrational state than you are. Especially the negative thought form. Same as astral parasites. They're on a lower vibrational state. And therefore, when you do a banishing rite, you're elevating your vibrational state, and anything which is lower can't stay around your space, because it can't enter that same vibrational state. Easiest way is to say, this is you, this is a negative thought form, but then you do a banishing rite and you elevate your vibrational state, and therefore it's not hitting my arm, but it's not hitting because it can't come up to the same level as you are. And because you are elevating your vibrational state, it starts to vibrate at a different frequency, and these other entities can't stick around. It's like all of a sudden the glue gets removed and they fall off. The easiest visualizations I can think of, really. So yes, they would help. Banishing pentagrams, banishing rituals, all of that stuff would help. Zankarov, what's going on? Oh, okay, have a good one. And thanks for joining. Cheerio. And Jono said cheers for me. Thank you. Lotus, I look forward to watching them. I'm so grateful that I found your channel. By far one of the best information and teaching I've found. I've looked a lot over the last year. Thank you very much. Thanks for the compliment. I'm glad you found the channel as well. Yeah, I think the Toltec stuff's going to be interesting. I just find that when you understand it and you kind of explain it in normal terms, if I can put it that way, it just makes other things so much easier. It just puts everything into perspective. So yeah, really good. From a far rock away, I read that one. I'd rather be in my astral temple anyways. I think we all would, but you can't stay there, unfortunately. If you do, and you're not passing the energy back and forth properly, your physical body's going to get sick. Lotus, have been getting a pull toward Lucifer, but never worked with any deities. So I've just been learning about him, anything I should know about him that I won't find in my research. You'll probably find everything in your research, but Lucifer just remember Lucifer is a title. There is a specific entity which is usually named Lucifer, and that falls into the Roman or the Roma and Italian folklore. Because it's a Latin word. Lucifer is a Latin word which just means light bearer or light bringer, and it's therefore a title. And we can relate a lot of spirits as being light bringers, and light in this sense is gnosis, spiritual knowledge. So any entity which is bringing spiritual knowledge to you, is educating you, is giving you gnosis, is a light bringer. They are bringing the light and illuminating your path. It's always a visualization that stuck with me from years back when I was when I really started out with traditional witchcraft. Is the imagery of the god, the horn god, coming from the east, and he has these huge horns, which are the balancing powers, and in between is this flame, and that flame is the light, and he is bringing the knowledge to you. But there's other imagery that goes with that, is the hermit on the path carrying a lantern, and he's illuminating the path before him, and therefore illuminating your path before you. And that illumination of your path is the gnosis that is brought to you. And then there was a more still traditional witchcraft, but more of a folklore and tying into kind of very early Catholic Christian associations, was again the horn god, but carrying the child on his shoulders, and the child was the gnosis. And the child in this instance is it's obviously Jesus, because it's got that Christian association, where things got syncretized and melded together and all these things. But the child is the gnosis, coming from the east as well, which is the new day, the new season, the new year. The beginning of the flowers breaking through the earth, fertility of the land, all that, the beginning things. So the child is a good representation. It's just all this imagery that pops up for me when I think about the Lightbringer in the East, from my traditional witchcraft days. But yeah, Regan. Okay, I assume you rewrote your question, so I'm going to go down here. In my pentacle talisman, what should I do or say to conjure, or which words should I use to conjure Leviathan for only meditation? So I'm just trying to put things together here. Your pentacle talisman. Specifically, what is your pentacle talisman? You could be talking about the pentacles from the Keys of Solomon, the planetary pentacles, and why is it associated with Leviathan? Or do you want it to be associated with Leviathan? If you can just give me a bit more information there. Sorry about that. Right, going to go back to from far rock away. We are in the time of the Jedi and Sith Lords. There are some very good psychic out here, like Jean Grey on X-Men, who will impose and project their thoughts onto you, and there will be. And that was it. I unfortunately cannot read your souls. Interestingly enough, the whole Jedi and Sith Lords thing, absolutely. And the funny thing is that with which one was it? I think it was the Acolyte with the witches that got wiped out by the Jedi. It kind of gives perspective on the association of the Jedi being the Patriarchy, and we want to be the Sith Lords because they're the ones who are breaking away from society and, forging their own path. And the Jedi are just kind of like the Patriarchy and the Catholics and the Christians, really. They're the mainstream. So the whole Star Wars association thing is really funny. I actually saw. Sorry, going to go completely off topic for a second here. Somebody, I don't know which one it was. It was one of the Star Trek movies, and the guy saying that R2-D2 is in a Star Trek movie, and the other guy says, "No, but R2-D2 is in Star Wars." Says, yeah, no, but watch this. And it's just one little scene that kind of like the side of a ship or something blasts open and everybody's like going into space, and you see R2-D2 there in a Star Trek movie. I must try and find that myself. But it's just this one little, it's like a split-second thing. It's like one frame in the whole thing. So I don't know how I'll find it, but anyway. Regan, coming back to you, protection cycle. Okay, let me just read this again. Maybe I'm missing some pentagram. In your pentagram talisman. Oh, what should I do or say to conjure, or which words should I use to conjure Leviathan, or only minutes? Oh, I think I see what you mean. What you've got a pentagram talisman, and you want to add Leviathan's energy to that. Is that correct? If that's right, there's a great ritual kind of setup that is actually suggested by Connolly, where you create a column. I want to associate with Leviathan. So if you want to charge the talisman with Leviathan's energy, then yes, you can sit down and just meditate with it. You can hold it in your hands and you can repeat the N, for instance. And then just imagine the energy as you're repeating the N. Imagine or feel Leviathan come in. You might feel like a bit of a shift. I feel kind of a very comforting type of energy when Leviathan comes up. And then what you do is you just ask Leviathan to put his energy into the talisman, and then it's done. But there's a great thing that Connolly talks about is creating this column of energy, and it's usually, I think she mentions it in terms of charging sigils, but you can do this with talismans as well. So what you do is you put candles, and quite often this depends on the planetary association number of associated with planet. But you've got this pentagram talisman, so what I would do is actually put 5 candles in a circle, all right, to create the 5 points of the pentagram. And then what you do is you put the talisman in the middle, and you light the candles, and you just sit there for a while, and you imagine this column of light going up and down, and you can use the N again, and you ask Leviathan to come in and put his energy into this column, and that column is then filled with Leviathan's energy, and it charges the talisman. And you can do this for 5 minutes. You can do it for 5 hours if you want to. Just let the candles burn down. You can do this as a ritual over, because we're using the number 5 in pentagram. You can do it as a ritual over 5 days, for instance, and just keep the talisman in there, and just go back to it once a day, like new candles, let them burn down, like new candles each day, and just keep doing the same thing, chanting the N, letting Leviathan's energy come in, ask Leviathan to fill the column of light with its energy, and then charge the talisman. So it's a method I kind of like. I thought I'd mention it. All right, where am I now? Sammy, what are the similarities and differences between Lucifer and Lucifuge Rupical? So my own understanding and experience with these two is that they are twins. They are the morning star and the evening star. So we can associate this with the Greek Phosphorus and Hesperus. So Phosphorus would be the Lucifer, and Hesperus, the evening star, would be Lucifuge Rupical. And that for me is it. I call on Lucifer Noctifer, and Noctifer is the same as Lucifuge Rupical for me. In association to tasks, offices, and things like that. I don't remember what does Lucifuge do again? Just double checking. Lucifuge is very good for money, finances, business, and things. He is the evening star, and that association itself kind of speaks about darkness, void, and I personally would say that with that association, you can also tap into abilities, creation. Let's have a look. There is some. You were asking about. Was it Folklore earlier? Oh, Valafor. Okay. Something's missing thing around here. Let's see. Other people's interpretations. Trace us back to Le Dragon Rouge, or the Red Dragon, also known as the Grand Grimoire. Nobody really knows when this grimoire was published. Oh, that's really irrelevant. Grand Grimoire, however, gives the following description of Lucifer: the infernal prime minister who possesses the power that Lucifer gave him over worldly riches and treasures. He has beneath him Baal, Agaras, and Marbas, along with thousands of other spirits and subordinates. It's very Christian worldview for me. His dominion lies over worldly goods, wealth, and treasures. Yeah, so it's about finances, money, prosperity, all of that stuff. But personally, it really is that evening star aspect for me. Yeah. Lotus, it's funny, the Hermit is my birth tarot card. Cool. The Hermit. Oh, the Hermit's a good thing. It reminds us to be simple. You know, don't get too complicated with things. If you do, step back and try to simplify things again. It's a reminder that I need over and over and over again. I'm always getting too complicated with things, and I have to stop myself. Richard, your description of Lucifer is how I see him as well, at least the first part. Yeah, I think a lot of people see the image of the horn man with the flame betwixt the horns, because it also, you know, we see that imagery with the Baphomet as well. But I mean, for me personally, Lucifer's a woman. It's a feminine aspect, but still with the horns and the flame betwixt the horns. So, yeah, it's going to be different for everybody, I think. Just well, thank you, it's a pleasure. Jono, I know you're in Joburg, so when you spoke about the horn god coming from the east, I immediately imagined Pan being summoned from behind me. Oh my word, yeah, that would be a good one. Yeah, the east here is a very, very different animal altogether. Right. So I take it the old school music is a hit with everybody, because nobody mentioned anything about the music today. Alright, so I just want to make that... lost everybody again. I should have made that announcement earlier. I'll do it again anyway in case somebody watches afterwards, but I'll still talk about it on the channel. So on Patreon, this week I'm going to be creating a new tier, which is separate to everything, completely separate. It's going to be standalone on its own, and it's for protection and cleansing. It's going to be $10 a month. It's just a service that I'm going to be doing, and what's going to happen is every new moon I will do a ritual on live stream, which is going to be an unlisted unlisted live stream URL, just for the people who are on the tier. And you can on Patreon, you can gift memberships. So if anybody is feeling generous and they want to gift, then you can do that. I'm not entirely sure how the gifting works on Patreon. I know it's there, and I have switched it on. Yeah, I better double check that actually. But anyway, so it's going to be protection and cleansing. So I'm going to call on Hecate and Nagal, and we are going to ask them to come and wipe everything clean. I've got an obsidian ball as well, which I'm going to... everybody's going to basically put their negative energies into. And then once a month in the full moon, I'll actually cleanse that and then use it for the next ritual. So I'll keep recycling the obsidian. Yeah. So that's going to be $10 a month, completely separate to everything else, but you'll find it on Patreon amongst all the other tiers. I'm going to call it the Obsidian Veil, for anybody who just want to go look for that. Just look towards the end of the week and it should be up by then. And I'll do the first ritual on the 28th of Feb. That's the next new moon after this coming one on Wednesday. Alright. Lotus, yes, love the music. Good stuff. Gotcha. Check something here quickly. Jono Aqualung was appreciated. Music was nice for me. Thanks for the stream, Uncle. Thank you for the conversation, everyone. And Luke said, thanks for the lead. It was awesome. Absolute pleasure. I'm glad everybody enjoyed that. It was a good chat tonight, actually. Started off a bit slow, so I thought it wasn't going to be very active, but that was cool. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you for joining. Just make sure I go and press the right button. And I'll see you next week. Cheers for now. Bye-bye. Wait, so Luke said you probably hate me for calling you. No, absolutely not. Actually, I had somebody in South Africa who insisted on calling me father. And I said, you don't really don't need to call me father. And he said that it's a sign of respect. And in his culture, he's kind of almost forced to call me father. So no problem. If that's part of your culture, that's cool. How often do I go? I go live every Sunday on this specifically Covenstead. So you'll find me every Sunday at the same time. Yeah, but you should be able to find it. I do queue it up, so if you go to my channel and go into the live, you should see upcoming live, and you can actually go and hit the reminder button. It doesn't always work on YouTube, fortunately, but just in case it does, it'll tell you how long until the live anyway. It does like a countdown thing. Alright, anyway, so I can't take care, and so thanks for your time. Good night. Alright, have a good one, and I'll see you next week. Cheerio. Bye bye.